Hey, Chandler Bolt here, and joining me today is Bill Miller. Bill is an executive advisor and consultant. He's a speaker, author, mentor, and coach. He's also the author of a book called The Rookie CEO and a self-publishing school student. He's attended our event, Author Advantage Live, and an inspiring guy with an inspiring story, which we're going to hear in just a bit. Bill, great to have you here.
Thanks for having me, Chandler. This is a pleasure. You have no idea.
Well, this is a lot of fun. So I remember your screen and your book and this backdrop for people who are watching on the YouTube channel, I think from AAL last year. So guys and girls, if you're watching this or listening to this right now, this episode is being released in the lead up to Author Advantage Live. Bill is a success story from Author Advantage Live, from Self-Publishing School as a whole. If you haven't already, get your ticket. Don't wait. It's going to be awesome. This may or may not be the last year that we do it virtually. And so grab a ticket at authoradvantagelive.com. It's a 3-day virtual experience to help you sell more books, launch or grow your author career. And again, grab your ticket before prices go up at authoradvantagelive.com. So Bill, take us back. Why did you decide to write a book, and what kind of spurred on writing your first book?
So I was in executive management in the technology world, both startups and multi-billion-dollar companies, for about 30 years, and director level and VP level for the last significant. And I worked directly for many CEOs, and it turns out that 9 of them in a row were rookies, first-time CEOs. And back a little bit over 20 years ago, I started to realize the most bizarre things that these people do, the decisions they make, the way they collect data, the way they get ready for work, the way they run meetings, you name it. And I've got behind the scenes experience with it, getting ready for board meetings, presenting and getting the daylights kicked out of you at a board meeting. So I've seen it from both Silicon Valley startups to, like I said, multi-billion-dollar corporations. And in the book, which is, I decided to just start taking notes, even in meetings back when I first started this, and I started to think about writing a book. And I said, I'll just save all these things because I'll never remember all these details. And I would make notes to myself in meetings and say, why am I in this meeting again? And I'd take some notes and, the date and the time. And I used all that stuff when it was time for me to write the book, and we'll get to that in a minute. But over time, I started to tell a few friends that I was going to do this. And it became a joke in some of my companies. They'd say, are you going to put that in your book? And it was funny because at the time, I certainly didn't know how to write a book. I just, I did a lot of writing for marketing and technology. And I certainly know the process of marketing, being a VP of marketing and product management for, almost 30 years. But one of the things that really was interesting is to see is that there's so many learnings that people can have from all of these experiences. And as I get closer and closer, I had decided, yes, I'm going to write the book. I told my friends, so it's like a commitment to myself, because they'll come back and say, hey, when did your book come in?
Yeah.
And so I had to have an answer. So I had an answer that said, when I retire. So it turned out that my retirement was sort of forced on me in March of 2020, thanks to the pandemic. And it was probably the best thing that happened to me in a long time, because the very next day after getting laid off, I was searching around for, how am I going to really publish a book? I have no clue really how to do that. And you look at books on Amazon, and you look at blog posts and articles, and you find all these different services for self-publishing for people to help people. But I found your video on YouTube, and there was a download link for the mind map. So I downloaded the mind map, printed it out, put it in front of me when I was watching your video. And I was so inspired by your video. You've gotten better at it actually since 2020. But I literally had the rough draft, and it was a rough draft, but the rough draft of my mind map before the 45-minute video was over.
No way.
and because I signed up for the call, I had a call with Dylan, who of course is, pretty good sales guy, but I made him work kind of hard, and I didn't really sign up for a week. I made him, work over the weekend because I love to make inside salespeople work. So I told him about my book idea, and I had actually named the book, believe it or not, which is something you're not supposed to do until you've finished writing a book. But I had named it the book over 20 years ago. The book, the subtitle, everything, which may not fit with some of the recommendations of SPS because I don't use the right keywords in the subtitle, but it's really what I wanted to say, because I used to sit in meetings and say, you can't make this stuff up.
Yeah.
And today, I do some consulting with, with CEOs, and I do some consulting with people who work for CEOs, rookie CEOs. And I can't believe the stuff that I see.
Yeah.
And, some of the things that I've done besides writing this book and publishing it, and I'm working on my second book, which is also related to mistakes that CEOs make, but it's a slightly different type of a book. And that'll be my second book, again, using the process that I learned at SPS. But
yeah, that's good. Hey, Bill, how did you, let me jump in. How did you ultimately decide to work with us? Why did you decide to work with us? And then what's maybe one or two lessons that you learned in the writing process that will be helpful for people listening?
Oh, sure. Absolutely. So I actually made my mind up during your video when I had the mind map done. I said, if the whole process is this easy, because that was easy to me to lay the mind map out. If the whole process is this easy, then I can do this. And I do have a lot of confidence in myself, so I didn't have any issues with any imposter syndrome there. I just said, I just need to do it. So, but I did listen to Dylan's pitch when he called me. Like I said, I already made my mind up, but it was, you have to pay for the services. So I made him kind of work hard for that commission check of his, whatever it is. So I made him wait over a weekend, and then I signed up literally a week after I had gotten laid off, and I got assigned a coach who is Scott, who I think is fantastic. And Scott had been going through his own challenges, and I think he and I kind of somehow gelled and got together. And he was a great one-on-one coach. I took all of the week-to-week, coaching calls, the coaching calls that were totally open. And I joined those, took them seriously, learned from every single call, and learn the process. And I'll tell you what, I knew absolutely nothing about writing a book. I could write, but not a book. So that all came from SPS. The processes, which have gotten better and better than they were when I started. There's all kinds of help. You got the community, you got the one-on-one coaches. You actually become family with the people on your whatever group that you're in. I'm now in my second tour, which is Sell More Books. And it's, and the people on the call on Tuesday nights basically, agree this is a family, right? Even though we might write different genres.
Yeah.
But it's really fantastic. The people are great.
That's awesome.
AAL, which is interesting, didn't know what to expect the first year, which is virtual. And it was great because more of us could go. I love virtual events. I love live events too, but I like the virtual events. And it was very good. I committed myself for the 3 days, and it was well worth all of it. And of course, then you did it again last year, was better. And I'm expecting this year will probably top that.
I hope so. I sure the bar was set really high last year, almost too high. I'm like, we got to lower expectations.
No, it's not really, because you've learned so much that it's, as long as the technology works, it's going to be great. Because you have a lot of ideas, and you get a lot of feedback from the group and the community, and start to apply those ideas. Now, I was not a AAA student. I didn't need to be really, but I can see where that works for a lot of people because the do-it-yourself services. When I did it, and I didn't really understand all this stuff in the beginning, but you got to get your own editor, you got to get your own book cover, and that's a story I'm going to share in a moment. about lessons learned. You want to know mistakes
Cool.
made and
Yeah.
things like
Yeah.
that. But
Mm-hmm.
uh, learning all that, there's extra cost depending on which way you
Mm-hmm.
go, can go up or down.
Yep.
And there are inexpensive services that can give you quality. I happen to use the most expensive cover design services in the auction of 99 Designs, which is great firm.
Mm-hmm.
But I bought the most expensive auction.
Yeah.
So I had literally hundreds of cover designs to pick from.
Mm-hmm. Are you
And
glad you did that, or do you wish you would have went for a lower tier pricing on 99 Designs and had less
so,
options?
so to be truthful, it was a mistake from a cost perspective because it is
Mm-hmm.
expensive,
Mm-hmm.
but it was not a mistake from the perspective that once I got all these different design choices, I could now go to my friends and colleagues that are actually targeted genre, my
Yep.
targeted avatar. And I had picked out my book cover that I liked the most, but
Mm-hmm.
I picked the top 5 and sent them. And those that were in the actual avatar, they picked a different one. They picked this one
Yep.
that you see
Yep.
here. And that was in my top 5, but it wasn't my top pick. It was my second
Yep.
top pick.
Yep.
But the vote was unanimous almost in the younger aspiring CEO category versus the
Mhm.
people that were already there.
Yeah. That's
So
great. Yeah.
this is, and if you look on the, it's about 9 rookie CEOs. If you look at
Mhm.
it, there's 9 CEOs on that path
Yeah.
to the top, and 3 of them are women and 6 of them are men.
Yeah.
So that's the very subtleties in that book cover that just tell it all.
Yeah.
And that came from the auction. So it was very expensive. So not everybody
Mhm.
would be happy with that. I
Mhm.
could afford it, so I did it.
Mhm.
But it would be a mistake if somebody were to go who's tight and doesn't have that money
Yeah.
to spend, and they spend it on that, they're going to be dissatisfied. Now in the future, I don't need to do that.
Yeah.
I know different ways to do it now, but that was an
That's great.
example
That's a great
of
tip. Hey, let's go in a different direction for a bit.
Sure.
That's really helpful. Thank you for sharing that. So let's go book launch. How did you
Absolutely.
launch the book and what worked well? Kind of like top 1 or 2 things that sold the most copies.
Okay, so I followed the SPS roadmap, of
Mhm.
which is published, and I haven't looked at it since I first used it, but it's a calendar essentially with the number of days you do things, and you're
Mhm.
still not 100% sure, but I used Scott in the coaching, one-on-one coaching to make sure that I was on target,
Mhm.
and I chose the 99-cent path for launch. I had built my own launch team from friends and former colleagues, but I also had one from SPS. So I actually combined them into one mailing list, and I'm a HubSpot fanboy, so I use HubSpot email system.
Cool.
Well,
Mhm.
I've known them since they were founded, so
Mhm.
I know a lot of the people there, including the founders. So,
Mhm.
but I used that platform, and I used it, just made an emails to them, and I did use all the forms of emails, just edited to my words, and I followed that to a T. And I did use just Amazon in the beginning, and I launched the ebook and the paperback at the same time. And the hardcover, I did do a hardcover in the early days. Within about a month, the hardcover was done through Ingham Spark, and I guess I
Mhm.
had less trouble with Ingham Spark than some other people have.
Mhm.
And so the hardcover, and then I did the audio book last year.
Cool.
So I now have all 4 formats.
Yeah.
And it took a while for me to get to the audio book because I don't really have
Mhm.
a setup to be able to do it here.
Mhm.
So I did hire out a voice that I had met actually through another SPS student,
Mhm.
but I hired a great voice that was a lot cheaper than if you went on ACX or Findaway Voices. So I found
Mhm.
somebody that I liked. And my daughter was a voter, and my fiance was the voter, and they liked the voice, so I used that voice.
Cool.
And the audio book is wide, and the hardcover is wide. So if you go on any retailer, those 2 books are there. And Amazon sells all the different formats. But the
Cool.
launch was very successful, and then I followed the launch with a series of promotions. So the launch got me to #1 new release for like 30, 45 days,
Mhm.
which was really great. And so I had that banner. In the business, my business category is tough to be number one bestseller, but I could get into the top 5 or 10 for several months by using the launch and the promos. So I kept the book at 99 cents for literally 2 months before I moved it up to the ebook. The paperback, I never changed. It's $17.99, but the ebook, I settled in at a $4.99 price.
Okay.
And I haven't done any promos for about 6 months, but I will probably do that sometime soon. It's a great way. And I use again, the recommended sites that come from SPS and Scott and BookBub.
Cool.
So that's
so book
the
promotion
launch.
sites, launch team, and part of the email list is part of that. Doing the 99-cent promos, launching
Right.
multiple formats, and kind of staggering those out. So going print, ebook, a hardcover, and audiobook, and so launching multiple formats. Anything else that's worked well after launch to sell books?
So post-launch, I have multiple things. So I have a blog that's on a media site that I created in the media company, and I actually the forward was written by a gentleman by the name of Rich Tarani, who's the CEO of a company called TMC, and that's the media company. They're a marketing media company, and they manage trade shows and conferences, and they have media sites. So they give me a property. And so I have a ceoinsights.tmcnet.com, which as of now, I launched in December of 2020. And I have a global readership of that blog, which is everything CEO related. I write blogs every, once, twice a month, sometimes more frequently. And I've had over 200,000 readers in that blog. And I know I sell books through that. Because I see the tick up of sales when people start to read it, but I push my book in that, and I always reference a part in the book as part of the blog, and I'll say, like I just published, I'm doing a Matters series, like words matter, behavior matters, and I just published Mindset Matters this week, and those I refer to things into the book, and I always try to push the book through that. Cool. So that's one way. And I also have I have a blog on Medium that I haven't really used as much, but I did in the early days. And those are all built around the framework that I have created and built in the book, which is about the path to a CEO, the philosophies that they bring to the party, the leadership styles that they have developed, the culture. Now I've used you as an example, by the way. I didn't use you in the book, but you're a rookie CEO. And you were a young guy who created, and I love your story because I know your story. I've heard it a few times now, but you're one of these rookie CEOs and you're learning, and I'm sure you've made a lot of mistakes. That you have a lot of help. You have a lot of help. You have a lot of senior people around you, and you've met a lot of industry experts and influencers. So you've had a lot of help. Yeah. But in those early days, I'm sure you were scared to death.
A lot of mistakes in the early days, a lot of mistakes in today's days. But I mean, Bill, from working with us, it's one of our core values is fail fast, fail forward, fail often. Learning through failure and making progress through failure.
And it's a long-term play. Your example about the long-term versus short-term is very important to me, because this to me is my new career. It's I'm retired, but not really. I work just as hard as I did when I was working full-time, because I'm always trying to learn something and advance. And I do it through writing because I love to write. So
yeah, that's great. Well, Bill, what's been the most helpful part of working with Self-Publishing School on your book?
It's people and process. So the way you sold it to me in your video, for example, was process, right? It's process and emotion, because I had this book in me. I think I'm one of those people that believe everybody has at least one book in them, if not more, because everybody has a story and they're all unique. Some can be memoirs and some can be applied in a different way, like mine and Mick Spires and Many others are. Scott's books, all of these books are inspired by people's own personal backgrounds. And that process was what I was missing. And the people put you into a community of like-minded individuals that all are trying to do the same thing, publish a book. Some are trying to build a business, some are trying to be a professional author, especially in the fiction world. A lot of them use the book as the business card, which you guys talk about. Mine's kind of in between. I don't want to build a large business around consulting and hire a lot of people. I do it all by myself. And if I need help, I might hire a contractor through Fiverr or Upwork or something like that. But I have to learn it myself. Like Amazon ads, I had to learn myself. I lost money doing it, but now I'm profitable every week and I know what I'm doing.
And
great. It was trial and error, right? But the fact is that without that process and those people that support you, and that's what SPS is really all about, is to me, it's people in process, and then you deliver a product. And to me, that's really what it's about. And without SPS, I couldn't have done it. And the people were fantastic. I mean, you and Sean on the Monday calls. Scott's been my coach for both programs that I've been in.
Yeah.
I love working with Scott.
Yeah.
And the people that are in the group are fantastic. That's what makes it work.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome. That's awesome, Bill. What would be your advice for people who are thinking about showing up to Author Advantage Live, or what's maybe one reason why they should come and one thing they'd get out of it?
So AAL is inspirational. If somebody is on the fence about whether they're going to write and publish a book, if they're not over the fence by the time AAL is over, then don't bother starting. Because everyone I've talked to that attends AAL, and certainly the people that have attended 2 of them with me, we actually connect with each other on the outside, LinkedIn, Facebook, Discord, and we stay in touch with each other. You get put in a group as part of AAL, and the group itself, which is a subgroup within SPS, we communicate with each other, even if we have different genres of books. And that is, they're friends and colleagues that I would never have had otherwise. And then we all help each other. We do the breakouts on the calls and we help each other. We answer each other's questions. We help somebody get by. And the AAL is just one word, inspirational, but it teaches you every aspect, regardless of your genre, that you need to know, but you've got to commit to attend and be there.
Yes.
And play with your little toys and things like that.
Yeah. Spoiler alert. There may be a surprise. If you're watching the YouTube video, you found a little surprise. Those are a lot of fun.
I love these. I use them all the time. It's right here with my pens and pencils.
Oh, that's so fun. Well, guys, if you haven't already, grab a ticket, join Bill. Maybe you'll be in Bill's room at Author Advantage Live. But grab a ticket before prices go up. If you're seeing this and the event's already happened, just grab a ticket for next year. Maybe we'll be back in person. Like I said, this may or may not be the last year being virtual. So get a ticket today before prices go up at authoradvantagelive.com. We hope to see you there. Bill, what would be your parting piece of advice for the Bill from years ago before you wrote your book and all the other Bills out there who are thinking about writing their first book?
Well, I would say that we absolutely all have one, minimum one, and maybe more. I would have started sooner, but I had made a commitment to do it when I retired. That was a personal thing. I could have built a business around it if I did it 15 years ago. Instead of going back to work for another startup company, which I did for a couple, I could have started earlier because I had enough, but I did gain more information from a couple more CEOs that are in this book. So there's a lot, and I needed to kind of retire to be able to publish some of the stuff that's in there, even though I don't use real names and real companies. Anybody who goes under my LinkedIn, which they can get at from that link right up there, my link tree, you can see what companies I work for, and you can try to figure out which one is which. Good luck.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's well, you just do it and get help. And I think SPS is one of the choices. I am pleased with the results that I've had. I mean, when you push publish on Amazon, it's kind of an incredible feeling.
Yeah.
And you see your book up there, and then you get that best new release banner, #1 new release banner, and you know it's not going to stay forever, but it's just an adrenaline rush that I can't explain. Uh, there's only 1 or 2 events in your life that come even close to that.
Yeah.
And then when out of the blue, for me, out of the blue, I get this Book Authority Award. I didn't apply for that; it just came. So somebody found my book from Book Authority and gave me, one of the top books for new CEOs, beginning CEOs, which I thought was great. And so I've been able to leverage that. The second one I actually applied for. I didn't expect to get anything, but I was a finalist. So you can, they want you to promote that sort of stuff, but it helps me sell books.
Yeah.
And it helps me get clients. I mean, in my book, I have a lead magnet that people respond to. About 5% of all book sales, people
Cool.
respond to my lead magnet, which is directly in the book. All that comes from SPS.
That's awesome,
And
Bill. Yeah.
so it's great.
Thank you for sharing that. Where can people go to buy your book or to find out more about what you're up to and all that good stuff?
So the easiest way to find out everything is to go to my link tree. And from there, you can go to my LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, excuse me, my blogs. Everything that I'm working on is basically there. Excuse me.
I was gonna say he's getting
I get so
emotional.
excited about
just,
this stuff.
just getting choked up just thinking about it.
No, it's passionate. It's something that's become my
Yeah.
new passion, right? I mean, I always love to write, but to turn it into something that's of value to people and, helping people is what, even when I was working for these CEOs, I always loved to help them.
Yeah.
Some of them appreciated the help, some of them didn't, right? But those that appreciated the help, you build an incredible relationship with them. And to this day, people, some of these people will call. I'm still good friends with some of the people that were that are featured in this book, and 3 of them have actually read the book. And I let them become advanced readers.
Yeah.
So they could. And what was funny is some of the people would say, "Well, I didn't do that. I mean, it sounds like me, but I didn't do that." I said, "No, that's not you."
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
the stuff applies across the board, and I know it
Yeah.
does. But yeah, I would definitely tell people to do it. Don't delay. Get on it and consider SPS. They have different levels of programs. The AAA program, which a lot of the people that are in my Selmo books are in. They love to do it for you services, but me, I
Awesome.
wanted to
Yeah.
manage and do all that stuff myself anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just want to learn how to do it.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
Well, that's awesome. Bill, you're the man. Thank you so much for coming on the show, and can't wait to see you at Author Advantage Live.
oh, same here. Thanks a lot, Jim. I appreciate it. Take care.